parece bien raro que tú me sigues buscando. Me bloqueaste de tu Insta, ya se te había olvidado. Esta no es la primera vez que te apareces viendo mis historias. Acuérdate que tu novia loca te tiene pillado. Tal vez te encanta el peligro, pero yo no estoy pa' ese lío. Dime una cosa, como tú gozas con esa loca que no tiene freno pa' parar. No estoy pa'l drama ni pa' ti. Hazme favor y dame el delete. Dime una cosa, como tú gozas con esa loca que no tiene freno pa' parar. No estoy pa'l drama ni pa' ti. Hazme favor y dame el delete. Tú si eres atrevido, tú y yo no somos amigos. Estoy harta de tu drama, como tú te la calas. ¿Por qué será tan difícil dejar de ladillarme? Si fue fácil terminar nuestra amistad que duró 10 años. Tal vez estás arrepentido, pero ahora estás más jodido. Dime una cosa, como tú gozas con esa loca que no tiene freno pa' parar. No estoy pa'l drama ni pa' ti. Hazme favor y dame el delete. Dime una cosa, como tú gozas con esa loca que no tiene freno pa' parar. No estoy pa'l drama ni pa' ti. Hazme favor y dame el delete. Hazme favor y dame el delete. Hazme favor y dame el delete.
The number you have called is no longer in service.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Today I have a special guest on. Her name is Nathasha Rumbos. Nathasha Rumbos. So I met Nathasha on Facebook a couple of days ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think
So
it was
anyway,
a couple of days ago,
so I wanted to bring her on the show and let Nathasha share her journey. She's part. I interviewed Rachel Ann Roberts today, and so Rachel, when I spoke to her, she's like, "Hey, I got a friend. Her name's Nathasha. She's a great person." She's like, I want you, to get a hold of her and have her on the show as well. So I reached out to Nathasha, and she agreed to be on the show. So I'm excited about it. So thank you for joining us today, Nathasha.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And honestly, I was like, Rachel, thank you for thinking about me. Because it's very hard to find people who also want to see you do great things in life and want to give you advice and a little hint there. So,
Right.
Thank you for Rachel connecting me and you together.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's kind of one of the things I really like about the journey that I've been on with doing this show is because one of the reasons I decided to do this show is to inspire and encourage people to find and find their passion and purpose, and then not only that, but when you run into or get a chance to meet other people who has inspiring stories, I want to be able to get those stories out so other people can hear and being encouraged by and inspired by those stories. So like I said, thank you so much for coming on. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna jump into it. So let's let our audience know where you were born and raised, and what was life like for Nathasha growing up.
Yeah, so I was born in Venezuela in a little city called Barquisimeto, which is kind of 4 hours away from the capital of Venezuela. But my mom actually brought me to the U.S. when I was 5. So basically, I've been raised here in Miami. So this is my home. This is what I know more than, going back to Venezuela. It's there's a lot of things that I don't really remember because I was a little kid, but I still have, the culture in me. I speak Spanish, and that has really surrounded me ever since I've lived here in Miami. Yeah, so my mom's a single mom, so obviously she brought me here just like how everybody else, for a better life for your children and all that stuff.
Right.
And my passion for music started at a very, very young age. I would always like it was always me and my mom until like a couple years ago that like a majority of my family moved down here to Miami, but it was always her and I, and we for many years we used to live in like a room,
Right.
because the struggle was real, and
Right.
I would always be singing along and like doing like setting up shows for her, and it was like it wasn't something that I knew that I wanted to do, but I just enjoyed doing it when I was a little kid. So as I started like middle school, high school, I started getting involved in like band. I was actually in a band in 8th grade playing the French horn.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of where my passion for music really kind of started gearing on, and I was like, okay, like I really like being on stage. I like performing with people. I like learning notes about notes and singing, and at first it was all instrumental. Like I was like with the French horn, and like I enjoyed it, but then like I was like, I don't think this is it. I know I love music, but I just don't think me as a French horn player was gonna cut it. Right. So once I got into high school, I got into chorus. I got into a magnet program where it was all about the vocals. So every single day I had a 2-hour class on music theory, how to, project your voice, how to work on your tone and all that stuff. And then in that moment in high school, I was like, okay, like I want to go to college and like, study music. I want to be on a Broadway show. I want to be like an opera singer. I had so many ideas, and there were so many careers that I could do because of studying music and being in that for 4 years. That where everything kind of changed was right when I graduated from college. I got accepted. Wait, where are you? Where do you live? Are you
I'm
from
in
Florida?
Dallas, Texas. I'm in Dallas.
Oh, Texas. I haven't been to Texas yet, but that is literally my best friend lives in Houston. I have a friend that lives in Austin, and it's like telling me to go to visit Houston. I've heard amazing stuff about Houston. Well, anyway, so I was, going into like college and like, this is what I want to do. And then I had gotten accepted to this like amazing school here in Miami. Like they have the best music program. It's like the University of Miami. And not a lot of people get accepted into that music program because it's very, very hard. And you, if you get accepted, that means like you got talent, like you have to pass like these crazy music theory exams, and you have to sing, like they tell you, oh, sing on the note of A, and you have to like do it without even listening to like the piano. So it was like a very hard, like when I got in there. And I was so excited. I got my letter of acceptance. Oh, Nathasha, you've been accepted to get into school. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to study to be a classical singer. That's what I wanted to do. So crazy that that was like what was happening, because I'm now an urban Latin pop singer, so very very far from classical singing.
Completely different.
Yes, but the different spectrums. But hey, things happen for a reason. Life is crazy and mysterious, and sometimes you don't understand why things happen to you, but years later you kind of see a connection and you're like, wow, it was meant to be this way. So I wasn't able to go to this school because it was so expensive, and I didn't get any financial aid. The scholarships that I have gotten were not enough to cover, like one semester was $50,000. And it was because it was a private school, very expensive school. And, it was just my mom and my mom couldn't afford to pay just $50,000 on one semester. So I went through like a very dark time during my senior year in high school. Like I had I was involved in everything about music. Like in church, I was part of like the lead singers in my church. I would
Right.
do like pop-ups. I would sing with bands. And when I found out that I could not study, go study music,
Right.
because the rest of the schools that I applied for, I didn't get into their music program. So I was like, what the fuck? You
Right.
know, like
Right.
I was like, what is going on? You know, is this a sign of the universe? You know, a sign telling me that this is not my path, and you know, it was fun while I did it, but it's not something that I can make a career out of. And I
Right.
kind of got in my head. And I quit music. I did not do music for 4 years. All my college years, I did not sing, nothing. Nobody knew that I was into music. Like only the people that I went to high school with, but like all the new people I met,
Right.
like when they found out years later that I could sing and I could do all these things, they're like, oh my God, like how did I not know this about you? And it's just something that I want to tell everybody that's watching. It's like, you know, like don't ever, like, yes, things may seem like they're not going your way, but like don't give up. Like if you really believe in yourself, like there's gonna be a way that you're gonna get into the music industry. You're gonna do what you want to do. Maybe now is not the time, but it doesn't mean that it's never gonna be the time.
Right. You know, and
So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's okay, because you know you bring up a good point. Is that a lot of people, they give up. They give up on their passions when things, don't fall in place the way they think that they should, fall in place. And I think all of us go through that at some point. Everybody has like a talent or something. They keep trying, and sometimes they feel like they're running into a brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're saying, sometimes it's a timing issue.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, sometimes God has a specific plan. He's got a purpose. We don't see it, you know what I mean? But eventually, if you keep going, it'll happen for you. I had a question for you. So I just want to kind of go back, like when you were younger. So, when you and your mom moved to the United States, do you remember like what kind of drew you into the whole music scene to begin with? Like, what was kind of was there something there that kind of like that created that passion that you remember for music?
Yes. So summer camps
Okay.
that my mom would put me in. They would always do a talent show every summer camp at the end of the summer.
Right.
And I was put into a group of like musical theater. So that's when the whole music thing. I loved acting and I thought it was fun, but I enjoyed a lot like learning like, the lyrics and, learning the notes and all that stuff. So that's when I started the passion, was definitely summer camps. Literally in every talent show, I would be either dancing, acting, or singing. But singing was what prevailed more than all the other ones.
Well, and the other thing too is that you were in a perfect place for it, because Miami is just a hot scene for the music and really actually known for the music scene. So I think that coming here, even though you couldn't get into the school at first, I think that you were still in the right area, to be able to I guess help blossom the that talent of music.
Yep. And so I'm going to connect all the dots together because it's crazy how life works, So once I graduated college, I studied publicity because I knew I wanted to be something in the music industry. So I was like, oh, let me be a publicist. I can still be in the music scene, get to like represent artists. And, I think I'll like that because I get to talk to people. So the first year after I graduated college, I started working for a PR firm, and it was the most miserable year of my life. That's when I realized, I was like, oh shit, like this is not it.
Right.
Like what I studied for in these 4 years, which don't get me wrong, I had a great time. I had great internships. Like I had attended like the Latin billboards when I was an intern, and I worked the red carpet, and I was like, oh my God, like I love this. Like I think I can do this. I can do this for a living.
Right.
Unfortunately, the PR firm that I got into was nothing with music. It was all about travel, which was okay, cool. It's going to be fun. It's about traveling and all that stuff.
Right.
And I could not do it. Like, let me tell you, the Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 in an office,
Right.
it really put me in a really, dark. I would wake up in the mornings with anxiety, and I just didn't want to go to work. Like, I was miserable. And then throughout that year, I was one day on Facebook, and you know how Facebook gives you like memories of like 10 years ago and all that stuff.
Right.
So I was scrolling on Facebook one day, and I had a memory from 10, not well, at this point it's 10 years ago, but at that point it was probably like 3 years ago. And it was a song that I had written when I was 16 with a friend of mine, and I had put it on SoundCloud, and I had put it on Facebook, and it just like, and I clicked on it, and I started listening to it, and I started crying.
Wow.
I don't know why, like it just like tears were just coming down from my eyes, and I knew in my heart that I had to go back to music, that I had to give it another shot, that this was a sign that, you know, this is my time to really put everything I got, and, you know, and roll the dice and see how it goes. So I created my YouTube channel. I hired a vocal teacher. Like I was like in it to win it. I was like, you know what?
Right.
I'm gonna start taking classes again. I'm gonna start doing covers, putting YouTube videos, and trying to, you know, build up my following. And then that's when I started singing with bands, like cover bands in Miami, like in restaurants. And I was loving it.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, like I should have done this long time ago. And I was like so mad at myself, but it's like, you know what, maybe it wasn't the right time, you know.
Right.
And I felt that this was like everything was just falling into place. I was performing, I was getting paid to perform, and I was like, wow, like mind blowing how crazy like life is.
Right.
So when the pandemic hit, that's when everything like went full circle.
Yeah.
The pandemic hit, I got fired from my job.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? I have so much time in my hands. Let me start writing my own music. Let me start working on writing lyrics, on writing melodies, you know, enough with the covers. Like, let's see what you got, Natasha, you know?
Right.
So that's when I started. I linked up with a producer in West Palm Beach that he was like trying to build a band. So I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. He was looking for a female voice, wanted to do Latin. And, you know, we did like 4 songs during the pandemic. And then that's what opened up to a whole new genre of urban Latin. Because now I do urban Latin, which is like kind of like reggaeton. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. So I started. So I liked, you know, on my Spotify and on my platforms, you can hear like the first few songs that I have, like the first 3 are in that Latin band pop spectrum. And then the other ones that I started releasing later are more in the urban Latin. Okay. Because I had gotten a chance to meet a cool producer who is into that urban Latin scene, has worked with various artists that are like popular now. And then I was like, you know what, let me try it with this producer. And ever since then, he's the only person I work with now. He has created the song that I have out right now, Dime Una Cosa, my Brazilian funk song, which I released this year as well, and it got on Telemundo, which was mind blowing. I sang it in Times Square in July, and it's like, holy Moses, like crazy how, like, you know, I started out with this guy, and then I started, because of those songs, this, like, the producer that I work with now had found me, and then now we have created music that has been sung in Times Square. I have sang it at the Hard Rock in Las Vegas during the Latin Grammy Music Week this year. So it's just like, wow. Like, would that have had happened if I started at 18? Who knows what journey I would have gone in. But honestly, it's been one hell of a ride. There's been ups and downs. There's been times that I've been wanting to quit, but I was like, I'm not quitting this time. I already quit once. I learned my lesson. Now you just gotta grab the saddle and
and row it and
just
go. Yeah.
and do
You know,
it.
that kind of reminds me. That's something that Rachel and I talked about today about the pandemic. Is that I think that the pandemic, one of the positive things that happened from the pandemic, was it gave people a chance to kind of reset. Like you were talking about how you lost your job. With everybody being at home and and away from that whole 9 to 5 grind that they had to do, they're stuck at home. There was no well, I worked security during that time, so I was working like 80 to 100 hours a week.
Holy
most people, they were once they lost their job, they didn't have anywhere to go, and I think that that helped people. It gave them about 2 years to do exactly what you did, and say, this is now a chance for me to do something I want to do or invest in myself and find something I'm truly passionate about. And so I think now, especially with, the technology like YouTube and TikTok and all these platforms, I think now we're starting to see the fruits of that, with I've met, I can't tell you how many just amazing people this year, who's kind of had the same thing, during the pandemic. They decided that, hey, I'm going to start focusing on my talent, and to see that now is just incredible. And I love hearing stories like that. I love hearing stories about like people like you that took that opportunity, and now look at you, like a year.
It's crazy. This whole year has been a year of a lot of first times.
Right.
Like I had been very fortunate to be able to go to the Super Bowl, like during the Super Bowl week here, or like in February in LA. I had the chance to go and fly out over there because the whole pandemic thing, like me working with the first producer, ended up me knowing the person that I am now a co-host on his radio show. So it just, everything was kind of like working towards like the bigger picture. So 2 years later, I'm part of I'm part of the same radio show that Rachel is on.
Right.
And,
the movies and reviews.
Yeah, movie reviews and more. Yeah. So I'm so crazy is that Brian, who is the founder of Movie Reviews and More, he was the first person that ever interviewed me when I released my first song during the pandemic. So after he interviewed me, I don't know, but it was just such a great interview. And I guess like he just really loved my energy. The next day he calls me. He's like, hey, like, I would love for you to like maybe do some interviews with me. I don't know if you've ever been a co-host, but like I just really like your light, and I just think you would be a great addition to the team. And 2 years later, ended up in February to do a Super Bowl event over there. Wow. I've been able to like go, Rachel and I and a couple of other co-hosts, we were in Nashville back in April for a film festival. We were talking about, like social media, music, and we were on a panel, which was insane. Like, wow. And then because of that, that's how I got into singing at Times Square for a TV show that I got because I interviewed them. And then me like being in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago for the Latin Grammys, performing over there, was because of somebody that I met on the show. So it's just like, and everything that has been happening has been like kind of a step up. And it's been things that I'm like, wow, like it's been 2 years since I really took the reign of this train. And I'm very proud of myself because I don't have a manager, I don't have a publicist. Like I do everything myself. I'm an independent artist. So it got me emotional when I was coming back from Vegas on the airplane, and I was going through all my videos, and I was like, damn, like I did that, like 10 years ago, like 10-year-old, like what's it called? I'm 27. So 17-year-old me would have been like, wow, like what she would have never, ever, ever in her years thought 10 years later she would be performing in Las Vegas, performing in New York, like, really showing her craft to people, and it's been such a nice and heartwarming experience.
That's amazing. It's amazing that as far as you've been able to come, what decided that you know to go forward with this, to be able to do all the things that you've been able to accomplish with that's amazing. So let me ask you this. So if if my audience, for my audience, if there's somebody out there struggling and they feel like they're at that verge of just quitting, what advice would you give them?
Well, if that were me back in the day, I think I would have told myself to kind of push through, push through. Like, yes, it seems like everything is just going the worst way ever, but
Right.
there is a brighter light at the end of the tunnel. There is, like, if you really are consistent and you believe in your craft,
Right.
like, there's nothing that can stop you. Only you are your worst enemy,
Yep.
So you have, like, if I mean, I still sometimes get those like moments where I'm kind of down and I'm just like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, but you shouldn't put a time frame to these
Right.
things. Like, everybody has their own different path with, like, their career. So don't get stressed about you not being where you want to be, but know that you will get there if you put the work in.
Right. And again, like we were talking about earlier, sometimes it's just a timing issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just you're trying for something and maybe right now it's not not that time, but keep going because eventually there is going to be a time for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be prepared when that time comes. So yeah, that's great advice. So tell me, I'm curious about the Grammys. You got to perform at the Grammys. What was that like for you?
Oh my God, that was the most, like, I thought I was gonna throw up and like smile at the same time. Like, it was
Right.
it was so scary. It was so scary. So it was during the Latin Grammy Music Week. There's a bunch of events, and there's like where people go and network. People in the industry are there, so there's a lot of showcases for, like, rising artists to go and like show their talent, get their
Right.
name known. So the first night I was ready because, like, I was performing 4 of my songs and a new song that I'm releasing next year. I wanted to kind of test it out with the audience and see how they reacted to it.
Right.
And it was me and like maybe 6 other Latin artists. And, like, honestly, I was a little bit intimidated because, like, I mean, I was, dressed up with my flow, like I had bright colors and everything, but like all these artists were like just wearing like furry stuff and like just like really like
Wow.
flashing things that you're like, oh man, you could tell that this person is like a singer, an artist,
Right.
just by how
Right.
they're. So I had felt a little intimidated the first night because I was like, oh my God, like, but I trust, I trust in my talent, and I know I was chosen to be here because of it.
Right. Right.
So when I first sang the first song that I sang, I was so scared. But once I sang the first note, like,
Right.
everybody, let me tell you how everybody in the audience pulled out their phone, and all I see is the flashes. Like, people just
Right.
like recording me. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I was like, the emotions that I went through me, I was like, I must be this good that people want to like show me, put me on their story on Instagram, or like just
Right.
record it to send it to somebody, like, oh my God, I just, found out this new artist and her song. So it was such a magical moment, honestly. And as soon as I got off the stage, there was so many people that came up to me. They're like, oh my God, like, where did you come from? And I'm like, I've been in Miami this whole time, but
Right.
now I'm here. And I just got so many positive remarks, and a lot of people commented on how they really enjoyed my performance because I was very interactive with the audience. Like, when I perform, like, I want you to also feel like you're on my stage. So I
Right.
kept on, going up to people and, like, just like being a very, very lively spirit, and people really loved that. And it just made me happy that I was like, wow, like, I'm glad that I can, send that off to people.
Right.
All my music is very fun. There's a lot of beats, drums, guitar. There's like a lot of highs and lows, but it's like
Right.
very fun to hear. So it's nice to see people like dancing to it and like just reacting so positively to it. And I'm like, wow,
Right.
like I'm so happy that I was able to get this opportunity.
Right. That's cool. And I noticed that you had one of your videos on your Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah.
From
So let me ask you that. So what if my audience is trying to get to know a little bit more about you, what's some of the social media platforms they can find you on and see some of your music?
Yeah, so all my social media platforms, it's at vocally Tash,
Okay.
Tash. That's how you can find me in all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and then I also do have my YouTube channel is also vocally Tosh, or you could just do my whole name, Nathasha Rumbos. It'll come out. And I also have my website, which is natasharumbosmusic.com.
Okay.
But you honestly, if you go to like my Instagram or my Facebook, like I have all those links there that can also, help guide you to be able to find me. That way you can stream my latest single called Dime una cosa.
Right.
Have a music video as well. That is also on YouTube channel, and that's how they can see them.
Cool. And I'll make sure in the description on with the link to this interview, I'll put all that information on there as well, so they can find you and come out and check you out, your music, and support what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
I saw your video, and I saw the video that you posted at Memory on your Facebook.
Which the one of like probably was like 10 years ago that I was
Yeah.
that was me in high school. That was one of my high school recitals.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing, and I want to make sure that we're getting your music out there and sharing the stuff that you're doing. So and talking about what you're doing, do you have any current projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so the new song that I performed in Vegas, it's actually gonna come out on this TV show in Roku called Reventon y Más, which is a TV show in Las Vegas. And
Okay.
I premiered the song. It's not even out, but I felt like it was the right song to perform. I was performing in 40-degree weather, wearing what I wear in Miami, a skirt and a crop top, and I was dying. But I gave one hell of a performance, even though I was freezing on the inside. But that's my latest project, which I'm already kind of working on a script for the music video, which will be released early next year. That's my goal. So I have that song. I do have one song that I'm collaborating with a Mexican singer, and they actually came down to Miami back in like October and recorded the music video on Ocean Drive, recorded my vocals. And the cool thing about that is that it's gonna be on a TV show that is being filmed in Mexico. So that is like something so cool that happened to me. So that's something that we can look forward to next year. Hopefully early 2023, if not probably mid 2023 for that collaboration. But for sure, my song is like probably early January that I'll be, working on releasing the music video and kind of getting the hype out there, because everybody at that showcase, their favorite song was that song that I was testing out. And I was like, all right, like this is gonna be a good release. Like once I release it with like a visual, dancers, bright colors, Miami. I'm very, very excited about this project, because I think up to now that is the best song that I have written so far.
Cool. So, and when you release that song, the video, you gotta come back on our show.
Absolutely.
And we'll play it on the show and let's get it out there.
Yes, because I'm hiring dancers. So the music video that I have out now, it's just me. It's very It's very different from the other video that I released before, which I had dancers. I was like dancing on the street and all that stuff. But I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be the focus of the video and try out cool backgrounds, which you get to see on my YouTube channel. So it's a very fun video, but it's a video of just me, and it's actually it has gotten a lot of great reviews on, like, you know, keeping the people you know, still watching throughout the whole video. Yeah, it was very, I was worried just because, okay, it's just me, like there's nothing else to see, but I made sure that there was, like, you know, cool angles, you know, the backgrounds to kind of keep people engaged.
Right. Awesome. So yeah, we'll definitely have to have you come back on, and we'll you know, once you bring out that video, we'll air it and get it out to our audience.
Yes.
So cool. So you know, thank you so much for taking time out today and being on the show. It's, you know, it was really good to get to know you. I'm excited for you, and you know, and excited that you decided to come back to music and what all you're able to accomplish since you've been back. So you know, congratulations on all that.
Thank you. I'm proud, and I'm very grateful with, you know, being able to be thrown into these opportunities. And I know I am 100% sure that I will one day be opening up the Latin Grammys, being on a world tour. Like, I know it's going to happen because I envision it. And every time I've been envisioning things, it's been happening. So it's just got to keep that mindset.
Right. And we'll support you all the way too. So
thank you.
You know, anything that you know that you need from us, you know, as you're releasing things, you know, just hit me up, and I'll help promote it. So
Thank you for having me on the show and giving me space to, like, you know, talk about my struggle and how I got to where I am. I'm happy that I get to share this with your audience, and who knows, I might be the next song they add on a playlist to their, you know, I don't know, to their daily routine.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being on. Like I said, it was, you know, it was for me, it was great to get to know you and hear your story. It's so inspiring, and you know, and hopefully this encourages somebody who's on that verge of giving up, you know, for them to encourage them to keep going. You know, just keep pushing through.
Yep. So that is it. Push through.
Right. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, you are uniquely designed with a purpose, and always keep moving forward. Peace. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much. I had such a great time.